broad stripes and bright stars, through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched, were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Right, quick, march.
Gordon M. Amoth Jr.,
Edomiro Abad,
Marie Rosabad,
Andrew Anthony Abate,
Vincent Paul Abate,
Lawrence Christopher Abel,
Alana Abraham,
William F. Abrahamson,
Richard Anthony Acito,
Heinrich Bernard Ackerman,
Paul Aquaviva,
Christian Adams,
Donald Leroy Adams,
Patrick Adams,
Shannon Lewis Adams,
Stephen George Adams,
Ignatius Udo Adanga,
Christy A. Adama,
Terrence Edward Adderley Jr.,
Sophia B. Ado,
Lee Adler,
Daniel Thomas Apolito,
Emmanuel Akwasi Afuakwa,
Alok Argawal,
Mukal Kumar Agawala,
Joseph Agnello,
David Scott Agnes,
Joao Alberto de Fonseca Aguiar Jr.,
Brian G. Ahern,
Jeremiah Joseph Ahern,
Joanne Marie Aladiotis,
Shabir Ahmed,
Terrence Andre Aiken,
Godwin O. Ahala,
Trudy M. Alagero,
Andrew Alamino,
Margaret Ann Alario,
Gary M. Albero,
John Leslie Albert,
Peter Craig Alderman,
and my cousin, New York firefighter Steve Belson from Rockaway Beach, Queens. Steve was known as Mr. Ladder 24 at Engine 1 on West 31st Street near Madison Square Garden, right here in Manhattan. He was last heard from on the 44th floor while climbing up the South Tower and will be a hero among so many on that day. I want to say, though, quickly, that each one of us who follow us in the readings of the names, as well as each person watching, no matter where you are or the language you speak, has the power to affect the world for good. Never forget the evil terrorist organizations that brought these towers down, killing almost 3,000 innocent lives, including those at the Pentagon and on the 4 hijacked planes. And to all of those out there who still do not know history, please learn about the groups and the nations that continue to support global terror, including all those who still chant death to America. Enough already. Let the good people of the world unite on the side of the good and the righteous. And may God bless the United States of America, land of the free and home of the brave.
and my cousin and godfather, Ryan Daniel Fitzgerald. Every day I wear your initials on my shoulder. I'm reminded of your profound impact on my life. Your memory lives on in our hearts, and your family misses you deeply. The love we have for you will endure across generations. We will never forget you or anyone who tragically lost their lives that day. God bless our military, our first responders, the FDNY, Engine 298, the NYPD, and God bless New York City. But most of all, God bless America.
Jacqueline Delane Aldridge Frederick.
David D. Alger.
Ernest Alicacos.
Edward L. Allegretto.
Eric Allen.
Joseph Ryan Allen.
Richard Dennis Allen.
Richard L. Allen.
Christopher E. Allingham.
Anna S. W. Allison.
Janet Marie Alonzo.
Anthony Alvarado.
Antonio Javier Alvarez.
Victoria Alvarez Brito.
Telmo E. Alvier.
Cesar Amaranto Alviar.
Tariq Amunula.
Angelo Amaranto.
James M. Amato.
Joseph Amatuccio.
Paul W. Ambrose.
Christopher Charles Amoroso.
Craig Scott Amundson.
Kazuhiro Anai.
Callisto Anaya Jr.
Joseph P. Enchundia.
Kermit Charles Anderson.
Yvette Constance Anderson.
John Jack Andriacchio.
Michael Rourke Andrews.
Jean Ann Andrucki.
Sue Nia Ang.
Joseph Angelini Sr.
Joseph John Angelini Jr.
David Lawrence Angel.
Mary Lynn Edwards Angel.
Laura Angeletta.
Doreen J. Angrasani.
Lorraine Antigua.
Seima David Aoyama.
And my grandfather, Edward Joseph Papa. Grandpa Eddie, although I never got a chance to meet you, we share many of the same interests. Not only do we share the same name, but I also love to play golf. I also love the Mets and playing baseball just like you did. People always tell me we share the same smile and happy energy. I wish I could have met you, and I hope you're all making you proud.
And my dad, Stephen Francis Schlag. I love him and miss him as ever. All the years combine, they melt into a dream. Life is good, it's 88 and sunny.
Peter Paul Apollo,
Faustino Apostle Jr.,
Frank Thomas Aquilino,
Patrick Michael Araños,
David Gregory Archer,
Michael George Archensky,
Louis Arena,
Barbara Jean Aristide,
Adam P. Arias,
Michael J. Armstrong,
Jack Charles Aaron,
Joshua Todd Aaron,
Richard Avery Arna,
Myra Joy Aronson,
Japhet Jesse Ariad,
Carl Francis Asaro,
Michael A. Ajiak,
Michael Edward Asher,
Janice Marie Ashley,
Thomas J. Ashton,
Manuel O. Asidambe,
Greg A. Atlas,
Gerald Thomas Atwood,
James Otterfred,
Louis F. Aversano Jr.,
Ezra Avilias,
Sandy Ayala,
Arlene T. Babakitis,
Eustace R. Bacchus,
John J. Badakliaka,
Jane Ellen Basler,
Robert J. Bearwalter,
Andrew J. Bailey,
Brett T. Bailey,
Garnet Ace Bailey,
Tatiana Bakalinskaya,
Michael S. Baksh,
Sharon M. Balcom,
Michael Andrew Bain,
Catherine Bantis,
and my uncle, firefighter Jimmy Richards. Uncle Jimmy, we talk about you all the time and how you sound so amazing. I wish I could have met you, and I know you were cheering me on at all of my cheerleading competitions and watching over our whole family. We all know when we see a dragonfly, it's your way of saying hello to us. We will always remember you. God bless America.
and with endless love, appreciation, and admiration, my brother, FDNY Captain William O'Keefe.
Gerard Baptiste,
Walter Barron,
Gerard A. Barbara,
Paul Vincent Barbero,
James William Barbella,
Colleen Ann Barco,
Christine Jonna Barbuto,
Victor Daniel Barbosa,
David Michael Barkway,
Firefighter Matthew Barnes,
Melissa Rose Barnes,
Sheila Patricia Barnes,
Evan J. Barron,
Renee Barrett Arjun,
Arthur Thaddeus Berry,
Diane G. Berry,
Maurice Vincent Berry,
Scott D. Bart,
Carlton W. Bartels,
Guy Barbsey,
Ina B. Bassina,
Alyssa Christine Burton Bosmajan,
Kenneth William Besnicki,
Lieutenant Firefighter Stephen Joseph Bates,
Paul James Taglia,
W. David Bauer,
Ivan Luis Carpio Bautista,
Marlene Capito Bautista,
Mark Lawrence Bavis,
Jasper Baxter,
Lorraine G. Bay,
Michelle Beal,
Todd M. Beamer,
Paul Frederick Bettini,
Jane S. Beatty,
Alan Anthony Bevan,
Lawrence Ira Beck,
Manette Marie Beckles,
Carl John Bedigian,
Michael Ernest Beekman.
And my grandfather, Carl W. Tepe. I hear many stories about him every day. Some make me laugh and some make me cry, but every story inspires me. Although I was never fortunate enough to meet my grandfather, he is my hero. I see parts of him in my everyday life, such as the color red, his favorite color, and I see him within my family. He is within my mom, my uncle, and my grandma, within my sister and little cousins, and I know there are parts of him within me, and I know that he is with me and my family in every step that we take.
And my grandfather, firefighter Alan Tarasarich. I would like to take this time to thank everyone who really keeps their word to never forget, so they are not forgotten. All the stories I hear about my grandfather, I've learned that he would do the same if he didn't die that day. The family misses and loves you.
Maria A. Bear.
Max J. Bilkey.
Yelena Bilalovsky.
Nina Patrice Bell.
Debbie S. Bellows.
Stephen Elliott Belson.
Paul M. Benedetti.
Denise Lenore Benedetto.
Brian Craig Bennett.
Eric L. Bennett.
Oliver Bennett.
Margaret L. Benson.
Dominic J. Berardi.
James Patrick Berger.
Stephen Howard Berger.
John P. Bergen.
Alvin Birdsong.
Daniel David Bergstein.
Graham Andrew Berkeley.
Michael J. Berkeley.
Donna M. Bernards.
David W. Bernard.
William H. Bernstein.
David M. Beret.
David Shelby Berry.
Joseph John Berry.
William Reed Bethke.
Yanene Beatru.
Timothy D. Betterly.
Carolyn Mayer Bug.
Edward Frank Baye.
Paul Michael Bear.
Anil Pahalram Belvrani.
Bella J. Buchan.
Shimmy D. Bigliason.
Peter Alexander Bielfeld.
William G. Bigart.
Brian Eugene Belcher.
Mark Bingham.
Carl Vincent Beanie.
And my brother, Joseph Michael Giacconi. 23 years is like 23 seconds. On September 11th, my brother disappeared. But this place has become my altar. And this ceremony is essential. Because that day he disappeared, but if I come here and I speak his name out loud and you hear his name, he will never, never disappear. We love you and thank you.
And my great... And my grandfather, FDNY Captain James J. Corrigan. We love you so much and we miss you so much. Me and my three sisters wish we got to meet you.
Gary Eugene Bird.
Joshua David Birnbaum.
George John Bishop.
Chris Romeo Bishundat.
Jeffrey Donald Bittner.
Albert Belayla Blackman Jr.
Christopher Joseph Blackwell.
Carrie Rosetta Blackburn.
Susan Leigh Blair.
Harry Blanding Jr.
Janice Lee Blaney.
Craig Michael Blass,
Rita Blau,
Richard Middleton Blood Jr.,
Michael Andrew Bacardi,
John Paul Bocci,
Michael L. Bocchino,
Susan M. Bocchino,
Dira Francis Bodley,
Bruce Douglas Bone,
Mary Catherine Murphy Bofa,
Nicholas Andrew Bogdan,
Darren Christopher Bohan,
Lawrence Francis Bousseau,
Vincent M. Bolin Jr.,
Turi Hamzavi Belorchi,
Alan Bondarenko,
Andre Bonaire Jr.,
Colin Arthur Bonnet,
Frank J. Bonomo,
Yvonne Lucia Bonamo,
Susan Booker Sr.,
Kelly Ann Booms,
Campbell D. Boone,
Mary Jane Booth,
Sherry Ann Boudreau,
Christine Bordanabe,
Jerry J. Borg,
Martin Michael Borashevsky,
Richard Edward Bosco,
and my uncle Kenneth Joseph Marino, who was a firefighter with FDNY Rescue 1 in Manhattan. He was one of the first responders on that day. I am 12 years old, so I never met my uncle Kenny, but I feel like I know him from my parents, grandparents, and family members. One thing I learned is that my Uncle Kenny and I share a love of baseball. Our favorite player is Ken Griffey Jr., and I'm very happy and proud that we have the same interests. But most important is that my Uncle Kenny was a true hero. He saved many lives on that day. Our family misses him every day, and we will never forget his memory or his bravery.
my cousin Matthew Carmen Solito. Matthew, neither you nor the thousands who perished on 9/11 will ever be forgotten. What is being forgotten is the 9/11 experienced by every other American. I ask you today to speak to your children and your grandchildren who weren't born on 9/11. Tell them what you went through, tell them to never forget what your family went through on 9/11.
Klaus Botha,
Carol Marie Bouchard,
J. Howard Bolton,
Francisco Eligio Bourdier,
Thomas Harold Bowden Jr.,
Donna M. Bowen,
Kimberly S. Bowers,
Veronique Nicole Bowers,
Larry Bowman,
Sean Edward Bauman Jr.,
Kevin L. Bowser,
Gary R. Box,
Gennady Boyarsky,
Pamela Boyce,
Alan P. Boyle,
Michael Boyle,
Alfred J. Braca,
Sandra Konate Brace,
Kevin Hugh Bracken,
Sandy Waugh Bradshaw,
David Brian Brady,
Alexander Berginski,
Nicholas W. Brandmarty,
Daniel Raymond Brandhorst,
David Reed Gamboa Brandhorst,
Michelle Renee Bratton,
Patrice Brout,
Lydia Estelle Bravo,
Donald Michael Brightweiser,
Edward A. Brennan III,
Frank H. Brennan,
Michael E. Brennan,
Peter Brennan,
Thomas Moore Brennan,
Daniel J. Brethel,
Gary Lee Bright,
Jonathan Eric Briley,
Mark A. Risman,
Paul Gary Bristow,
Marion R. Britton,
and my father, William Ralph Robb. Dad, We only got 6 years together, but I have nothing but the happiest memories. And every day I remember how lucky and how proud I am to be your daughter. Me, Mom, and Liam love and miss you so much.
And my mother, Imelda H. Perry. My mother was a beacon of kindness, wisdom, elegance, and grace. Her love was unconditional. Her spirit was indomitable. Along with my brother and my sister, we cherish the memories that you taught us. And even though you are not here with us, your memories will continue to live in our hearts and guide our actions. Thank you.
Mark Francis Broderick.
Herman Charles Brockhammer.
Keith A. Broomfield.
Bernard C. Brown II.
Janice J. Louis Brown.
Lloyd Stanford Brown.
Patrick John Brown.
Bettina B. Brown Radburn.
Mark Bruce.
Richard George Bruhert.
Andrew Brunn.
Vincent Edward Brunton.
Ronald Buca.
Brandon J. Buchanan.
Greg J. Buck.
Dennis Buckley.
John Edward Boluga Jr.
Patrick Joseph Booth.
Christopher L. Burford.
Stephen Bruce Bunin.
Thomas Daniel Burke.
Matthew J. Burke.
Charles F. Burlingame III.
William Francis Burke, Jr.
Donald J. Burns.
Thomas E. Burnett, Jr.
Keith James Burns.
Kathleen Ann Burns.
Irina Buslow.
John Patrick Burnside.
Thomas M. Butler.
Milton G. Bustillo.
Timothy G. Byrne.
Patrick Dennis Byrne.
Jesus Neptali Cabezas.
Daniel M. Caballero.
Brian Joseph Cachia.
Lillian Casieres.
And my brother, Robert Talhami. Your family and I love you and miss you so much. For the love you had for good food and wine, your good friend, Peter Donovan, and I have not missed a dinner in your honor for the last 23 years. Robert, my little brother, I know we will meet again. Until then, I love you and think of you every day.
And my uncle, James Brian Riley. We love you and miss you so much, Uncle Jimmy. Even though I've never met you, I've heard so many stories about you to the point where it feels like I've known you for my whole life. You're a role model to me, and your kindness inspires me and the rest of our family to be the best people that we can be.
Richard Michael Caggiano.
Cecile Morella Kaluka.
John Brett Cahill.
Michael John Cahill.
Scott Walter Cahill.
Thomas Joseph Cahill.
George C. Kane.
Salvatore B. Cabral.
Joseph M. Calandrello.
Philip V. Catalano.
Edward Calderon.
Jose O. Calderon Omeda.
Kenneth Marcus Caldwell.
Dominic E. Cali.
Felix Bobby Calixte.
Francis Joseph Callahan.
Liam Callahan.
Suzanne M. Cali.
Gino Luigi Calvi.
Rocco Kamaj.
Michael F. Camarata.
David O.T. Campbell.
Jeffrey Thomas Campbell.
Robert Arthur Campbell,
Sandra Patricio Campbell,
Sean Thomas Canavan,
John A. Candela,
Vincent A. Canalandos,
Stephen J. Cangelosi,
Lisa Bella Canava,
Brian Canizaro,
Michael R. Canty,
Luis Anthony Caparisi,
Jonathan Neff Capello,
James Christopher Carpes,
Richard Michael Caproni,
Jose Manuel Cardona,
Dennis M. Carey Sr.,
Edward Calino,
Michael Scott Carlo,
and my brother Emmanuel Akwesi Afuaka. You are a hero. May your soul and all departed souls keep resting in peace. And it's my prayer that this wicked act called terrorism will never occur again in the United States. God bless America.
and my father, Lieutenant Kenneth John Felix Sr. Dad, we miss you, including your wife, Patty, your children, Aaron, Danny, Kenny, and your grandchildren, Kendall, Kyle, and Callie Mae. I just want to be honored to be here and to wear your badge number as a police officer, and my brother as well, wearing your badge number as a fire department. God bless all the 9/11 families. Thank you.
David G. Carlone,
Rosemary C. Carlson,
Mark Stephen Carney,
Joyce Ann Carpenetto,
Jeremy Kaz Carrington,
Michael T. Carroll,
Peter J. Carroll,
James Joseph Carson Jr.,
Christopher Mikhail Karstinijan,
Angeline C. Carter,
James Marcel Cartier,
Sharon Ann Carver,
Vivian Casaldick,
John Francis Casaza,
Paul Reagan Cassio,
Neely Ann Heffernan Casey,
William Joseph Cashman,
Thomas Anthony Casoria,
William Otto Casper,
Alejandro Castaño,
Arcelio Castillo,
Leonard M. Castriano,
Jose Ramon Castro,
William E. Coswell,
Richard G. Catarelli,
Christopher Sean Caton,
Robert John Caulfield,
Mary Teresa Caulfield,
Judson Cavalier,
Michael Joseph Cawley,
Jason David Kane,
Juan Armando Ceballos,
Marcia G. Cecil Carter,
Jason Michael Cephalou,
Thomas Joseph Cecil,
Anna Mercedes Centeno,
Joni Sesta,
John J. Chada,
Jeffrey Mark Chernoff,
Swarna Chalasani,
and my cousin Gary M. Albero. Even though it's been 23 years, we hold your memory strong. Your love of family, meatballs, and of course the Yankees. We miss you every day, and I hope you're having a blast up there with Dad and Grandma and the rest of the family. And of course, God bless America.
and my sister Catherine McGarry Nowak. We miss you a lot.
William A. Chalkoff,
Eli Chalua,
Charles Lawrence Chan,
Mandy Chang,
Rosa Maria Chapa,
Mark Lawrence Charette,
David M. Charlebois,
Gregorio Manuel Chavez,
Pedro Francisco Checo,
Douglas Macmillan Cherry,
Stephen Patrick Cherry,
Vernon Paul Cherry,
Nestor Julio Chevalier,
Swede Joseph Chevalier,
Alexander H. Chiang,
Dorothy J. Chicharo,
Luis Alfonso Chimbo,
Robert Chin,
Eddie Wing Wei Ching,
Nicholas Paul Chofalo,
John G. Chipora,
Peter A. Chicharillo,
Catherine Ellis Cheers,
Kyung Hee Casey Cho,
Abul K. Chowdhury,
Mohammed Salahuddin Chowdhury,
Kirsten Lael Christoph,
Pamela Chu,
Stephen Paul Chupnick,
Wei Ching Chung,
Christopher Chiafardini,
Alex F. Ciccone,
Francis Ann Salente,
Elaine Silo,
Edna Cintrone,
Nestor Andre Cintron III,
Robert D. Siri Sr.,
Juan Pablo Cisneros,
Benjamin Keith Clark,
Eugene Clark,
and my father, FDNY Battalion Chief Oreo Joseph Palmer. A month from today, I'm getting married, and I'll be saving a seat for you and for Mom. Dana, Keith, and I are so proud to be your children.
and my uncle, Salvatore F. Pepe. Sal, the entire family misses you. I hope you see how well your son, little Sal, has turned out. Kathy has done an amazing job. We miss you. We'd love to have you around. We know and that you're looking out for us. So thank you for being our guardian angel.
Gregory Allen Clark,
Manny Leroy Clark,
Sarah M. Clark,
Thomas R. Clark,
Christopher Robert Clark,
Donna Marie Clark,
Michael J. Clark,
Saria Rachel Emma Clark,
Kevin Francis Cleary,
James D. Clear,
Jeffrey W. Cloud,
Susan Marie Klein,
Stephen Coakley,
Jeffrey Allen Cole,
Patricia A. Cody,
Daniel Michael Coffey,
Jason Matthew Coffey,
Florence G. Cohen,
Kevin S. Cohen,
Anthony Joseph Coladonato,
Mark Joseph Caleo,
Stephen J. Caleo,
Christopher Michael Colasanti,
Kevin Nathaniel Colbert,
Michelle P. Colbert,
Keith E. Coleman,
Scott Thomas Coleman,
Terrell Coleman,
Liam Joseph Cahoon,
Robert D. Colon,
Robert J. Call,
Jean Marie Collin,
John Michael Collins,
Michael L. Collins,
Thomas Joseph Collins,
Joseph Kent Collison,
Jeffrey Dwayne Coleman,
Patricia Malaya Kolodner,
Linda M. Cologne,
Saul E. Cologne,
and my friend Susan Ruggiero, and also my brother, firefighter Michael Francis Lynch. I look forward to that day when we can all be together again. And may I ask everybody out there watching this to pray for unity and to pray for peace. Thank you.
My brother, Robert T. Bobby Hughes Jr., and our family friend, Judy Hazel Fernandez. Bobby, your beautiful and infectious smile and soul is missed and loved so much every day. You have no idea the major impact you and your life has had and left on all of our hearts. We can't believe you're gone 23 years. The sadness and emptiness we all feel missing you is indescribable. Thank you for watching over all of us after all these years. You're loved and missed so much, and you are forever our hero and angel. We love you so much, Bobby.
Ronald Edward Comer,
Jaime Concepcion,
Albert Conde,
Denise Conley,
Susan P. Conlon,
Margaret Mary Connor,
Cynthia Marie Lease Connolly,
John E. Connolly Jr.,
James Lee Connor,
Jonathan M. Connors,
Kevin Patrick Connors,
Kevin F. Conroy,
Brenda E. Conway,
Dennis Michael Cook,
Helen D. Cook,
Jeffrey W. Coombs.
Chief Warrant Officer William R. Ruth, United States Army Reserve. Charles E. Sabin, Sr. Marjorie C. Salamone. John P. Sammartino.
Colonel David M. Scales, United States Army. Commander Robert A. Schlegel, United States Navy. Janice M. Scott. Lieutenant Colonel Michael L. Selves, United States Army, retired. Marion H. Serva. Commander Dan F. Schnauer, United States Navy. Antoinette M. Sherman. Diane M. Simmons. And her husband, George W. Simmons. Donald D. Simmons. Cheryl D. Sincock. Chief Petty Officer Greg H. Smallwood, United States Navy. Lieutenant Colonel Gary F. Smith, United States Army, retired. Mary Ray Sopper. Robert Spiesman. Patricia J. Stotts. Edna L. Stevens. Norma Lang Sturley. Sergeant Major Larry L. Strickland, United States Army. Hilda E. Taylor. Lieutenant Colonel Kip P. Taylor, United States Army. Leonard E. Taylor. Sandra C. Taylor. Sandra D. Teague. Lieutenant Carl W. Teepee, United States Army, retired. Sergeant Tamara C. Turman, United States Army. Lieutenant Commander Otis V. Tolbert, United States Navy. Staff Sergeant Willie Q. Troy, United States Army, retired. Lieutenant Commander Ronald J. Vach, United States Navy Reserve. Lieutenant Colonel Karen J. Wagner, United States Army. Meta L. Fuller Waller. Specialist Chin Sun Pak Wells, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Madeline A. White, United States Army. Sandra L. White. Ernest M. Wilshire. Lieutenant Commander David L. Williams, United States Navy. Major Dwayne Williams, United States Army. Chief Petty Officer Marvin Roger Woods, United States Navy, retired. Captain John D. Yemnicki, Senior, United States Navy, retired. Vicky Yancey. Petty Officer Second Class Kevin W. Yoakum, United States Navy. Chief Petty Officer Donald M. Young, United States Navy. Edmund G. Young, Jr. Lisa L. Young. Shu Yen Young. And her husband, Yu Guang Zheng.
How sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found. 'Twas blind, but now I see.
Promised good to me Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the invocation.
Would you please join me in prayer? God of all creation and the giver of life, we give thanks for the bountiful blessings you've bestowed upon the United States of America, the very freedoms that we so often take for granted, the leaders both nationally as well as those who lead and serve throughout the various levels of government, for the peacekeepers and those who serve to uphold law and order. We are a truly blessed nation. We pause on this anniversary to remember those who perished on that fateful day in 2001. We remember their names, their dreams, the families here today that represent them, and the countless many others whose lives were tragically disrupted and destroyed by their loss. We remember the emergency responders, more than 400 police, 340 firefighters, and nearly 7,000 military service members that gave of themselves in service to our country. We remember our country's leadership and all of their efforts to ensure that we would never again face another deadly attack of that magnitude. As we finish the 23rd year since that day, we recall the 23rd Psalm, that even though we walk through the valley of a shadow of death, we will fear no evil. May we never forget that day. May we honor those who died needlessly, as well as those who stood heroically on behalf of the wounded and the hurting. In your precious and holy name I pray. Would you please join me in a moment of silence in remembrance of the lives lost on that very minute on September 11th, 2001.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, General C.Q. Brown, Jr., Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff.
Good morning. As we stand here on this somber day, I reflect on the words by poet Lawrence Binyon, best remembered for his World War I poem, The Fallen, for the Fallen, which said, "They shall not grow old, as we are left to grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them." Today we gather in the solemn shadow of the Pentagon, a towering symbol of our nation's unyielding strength. We gather to remember them. We gather to acknowledge the heroes whose courage illuminated the darkest hours. And we gather to honor the families who have borne the deepest loss, carrying an unimaginable weight for the past 23 years. Our nation, this building, and the lives of everyone here were scarred that day by an act or horrific violence. Yet, in the face of adversity, it also became a testament to the unyielding spirit, the enduring power of unity, a testament to our perseverance and to our resilience as a nation. Today we gather to remember the day, the loss, and the determination. The day. A Tuesday 23 years ago, the Pentagon awoke to a day like any other. But at 9:37 a.m., the routine of the morning was shattered by the explosion of fire and steel. As hijacked American Airlines Flight 77 was flown into the west wall of the Pentagon. Those there on the day spoke of the acrid smell of fire, the gray smoke that permeated its way through the corridors and across the building. But many noted an absence of panic, despite the horror, shock, and confusion. Through the chaos and terror arose a focused calm among the people there, trained military and civilian professionals, dedicated to helping the wounded, dedicated to maintaining the mission, as families waited for a call to hear that their loved one was okay. Some of those families never received the call. Flight 77 had departed that morning at 8:20, bound for Los Angeles. 5 children were on board. 3 of them, Rodney Dickens, Asian Compton, and Bernard Brown. They were on their way to explore California's Channel Islands with National Geographic. A special trip recognizing their standout performance as students and celebrating their flight features that laid ahead. 2 sisters, Zoe and Dana Falkenberg, were flying with their parents, excited to start a new life adventure in Australia. But at 9:37, those children, along with 54 other passengers and crew, had their life's journey end just a few hundred yards from where we now stand. And with them, 125 sailors, soldiers, and civil servants, people who had committed years of their lives in service of our country, people who had gone to work that day not knowing their service would end in the ultimate sacrifice. Yet amid the destruction, something profound emerged, a demonstration of determination. It was the courage of those who ran toward the danger, who chose not to flee, but to help, to save, that provided a light in a time of darkness. In the 9/11 Commission's report, in the section covering the Pentagon's response, it is aptly titled, Heroism and Horror. It discusses the mix of local, state, and federal entities that work together to contain the fire, tend to the wounded, and keep the mission going. What it does not discuss were the countless acts of bravery that went unseen and unrecorded, the calm determination of those who remained at their posts. There was fear, yes, but that fear was tempered by an unyielding resolve to protect, to defend, and to serve. Amidst the sadness and the rage, the people who remained that day chose to honor those who had fallen by coming together to protect and to serve. There are many accounts of people running back into the burning rubble, pulling people to safety, only to go back in and save more. Leaders who guided their teammates to safety, navigating the hot ash and smoke. Others had to be restrained by security to stop them from going back in once again, because their blind instinct was to run into the flames with no regard for their own safety, to support those that were still in danger. And while destruction and rescues continued on the west side, the rest of the building continued to persevere, relocating watch stations, establishing communications, and preparing for potential follow-on attacks. Even as this side of the Pentagon collapsed into rubble, this building kept the mission going because of the grit and determination of the people there that day. So today, we gather to support each other, to do what we can to comfort one another, to honor the sacrifice made by too many, and to fulfill our sacred duty to remember. We remember the day, We will remember the determination, but most importantly, we will remember the loss. The loss here at the Pentagon, the loss at the World Trade Center, and the loss in the fields of Pennsylvania. The sons, daughters, mothers, fathers, brothers, and sisters who are lost in that day, but will never be forgotten. God bless our fallen. God bless all of you. And may God bless the United States of America.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Secretary of Defense, Lloyd J. Austin III.
General Brown, thank you for those moving words. Family members of the fallen, survivors and first responders, our outstanding troops, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for being here. I'm honored to join you once more on this day of memory and resolve. And on behalf of the entire Department of Defense, let me offer my deepest condolences to the families, the friends, and the loved ones of the 184 souls who were stolen from us 23 years ago today, here at the Pentagon and on Flight 77. We have repaired the damage to this building, but we cannot repair the damage to your hearts. No words can take away your grief. No amount of time can make sense of the worst terrorist attack in American history. And I know that for those whose lives were changed forever on 9/11, it can feel as if more and more Americans are returning to normal life on each new September 11th. But not here, not at the Pentagon, because we remember. The men and women of the Department of Defense remember. And we always will. Every September, we gather here near 184 memorial benches. But the troops and the personnel of this department don't need to come to this space to remember 9/11. You see, we don't just work near a memorial, we work in a memorial. Every day we serve in the only surviving building struck by Al-Qaeda on 9/11. And every day we carry a powerful sense of purpose. And that's why there's a piece of the wreckage from 9/11 on display outside my inner office for every visitor and every teammate to see. It is a constant reminder that 9/11 isn't a part of our distant history. It is entwined in the department's mission. And it's captured in the stories of those who were here. We continue to honor the beloved teammates who we lost, the first responders who raced towards the flames, the families who humble us with their resilience, and the survivors who continue to inspire us all. I'm thinking today of two sisters, Patty Mickley and Kathy Dillber. In the fall of 2001, Patty worked in the Defense Intelligence Agency, and Kathy worked for the Department of the Army. And on 9/11, they began their day as they so often did, with a morning talk in the Pentagon courtyard. And Patty's daughter had graduated from the Pentagon daycare center a week earlier. And she had just had her first day of kindergarten. And so Patty told her younger sister all about it. And then they went their separate ways. That was their last conversation. Kathy was devastated by Patty's murder. But she channeled her anguish into service by working with the Pentagon Memorial Fund. And Kathy says, that was a tie that kept me here. And we are grateful that Kathy is here with us today. After 9/11, the staff, the family members, and the children of the Pentagon Daycare Center donated a small plaque in the Pentagon courtyard. It honors Patty and Shelley Marshall, another DIA teammate slain on 9/11. And her young children were at the daycare center that morning. Now, Shelley Marshall's daughter, Chandler, is now a lawyer who has helped to care for Afghan refugees. And her son, Drake, is now training at Fort Liberty to become a Special Forces soldier. They're both here today with their father, Don, who raised them with such love. And the plaque in the Pentagon courtyard for Patty Mickley and Shelley Marshall reads, "They are not gone who live in the hearts of others. They are not gone who live in the hearts of others." After 9/11, fear turned to resolve, and resolve turned to action and to service. And for proof of that, we can look to the life of Kevin Schaefer. On the morning of 9/11, Kevin was a lieutenant on duty in the Pentagon's Navy Command Center. As he watched the news from New York, he was knocked to the ground by the force of a fireball. Nearly half of Kevin's body was terribly burned. But somehow, he crawled through the rubble toward rescue. And for 3 months, Kevin fought hard in the burn unit just to survive. And he still carries the scars of 9/11. You know, Al-Qaeda's attack on the Pentagon ended Kevin's service to the Navy, but not to our country. Kevin thought hard about what to do next. And he raised his hand to serve once more, this time as a civilian. In 2003, he was selected as one of the professional staff members on the 9/11 Commission. And at his unremarkable government desk, in his unremarkable government cubicle, Kevin chose to put up the pictures of the 9/11 hijackers. And on the commission, he worked to shed truth and clarity on the evil that those 19 terrorists chose to commit. In the wake of 9/11, Americans like Kevin and Kathy turned grief into grace and agony into resolve. And stories like theirs remind us of what we've lost. But they also remind us of who we are. We are the United States of America. We do not bend to terror. And in uncertain times, our compass remains our Constitution. This department does not just defend our country and our citizens, it also defends America's founding values of democracy, freedom, and liberty under law. And those beliefs have inspired generations of patriots to step forward and to wear the cloth of our nation. And they still do. You know, only about 6% of today's troops were in uniform on 9/11. And some of our troops, about 21% of our troops, were born after 9/11. And some of our troops enlisted or were commissioned after 9/11 as our country came together in sorrow and determination. And others joined years later, spurred on by an enduring spirit of service. And we are profoundly grateful to them all. We thank the military families who make their service possible. And today, of all days, I want to especially thank my fellow veterans of the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq. And in memory of every American soldier, sailor, airman, Marine, and public servant who lost their lives in the wars that America fought after 9/11, we bow our heads. Ladies and gentlemen, the United States military remains the greatest fighting force on earth. And not just because of our might, but because of our people. And we will always strive to carry forward the values of the teammates who we lost here 23 years ago. Their memory is our mission, and their families are our families too. You have endured endless sorrow and unimaginable pain with unimaginable strength. We stand with you today and every day. And we rededicate ourselves to living up to the example and the goodness of your loved ones. With a spirit of shared duty, with deep love for our country, and with an unbreakable devotion to our democracy. They are not gone who live in the hearts of others. May the memory of the fallen be a blessing. May God provide comfort to all who mourn. May God protect our troops, and may God continue to bless the United States of America. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the singing of God Bless America and remain standing for the benediction.
solemn prayer. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above.
From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans, wide with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we pray that as we leave this place, we never leave your presence. May your Spirit continue to bring healing to our families, comfort to those who suffer, hope to our nation, and peace to our world. Humbly we ask that as you continue to grant us opportunities to cherish the freedoms and blessings and liberties that we enjoy every day in the United States of America. In your precious and holy name I pray. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes today's ceremony. Thank you for joining us this morning. The Pentagon Memorial, the Pentagon Memorial Chapel, and the Navy Reflection Room are open until 12 p.m.